All right, I got you. We're good.
All right. So let me see here. All right. So are you looking at my screen now?
Yep.
Okay.
That's your hair.
What?
I see all that hair in the background. I think it's a lion, but it's kind of funny.
Oh yeah. All right. So, I basically, I have. This isn't the business plan you're looking at. I spoke, obviously at the East Coast Fitness and Nutrition Conference, we spoke about it, and then spoke about it on the phone about a week later. But it's been a couple, month and a half, 2 months. So I figured I'd just sort of kind of refresh what it's about and how I came up with the idea and what we've done, how I've come up with the projections and all that kind of stuff. If you're all right with that.
Yeah.
So you're seeing my screen? Does the gym exchange?
Yep.
Okay. So obviously I owned a gym for a while, the world's best gym. Right now I also own Hard to Kill Athletics. So we do fitness competitions, and I put on about 8 of those a year. After I sold the world's best gym, I had a bunch of gym owners reach out to me asking me how I valued the gym, how I went through the sale process, and most importantly, how I found a buyer. And I kind of realized that there is an issue if gym owners want to sell their gym. They can't just post it on Facebook. They'll lose members. They'll lose their that trust. With these the gyms that you guys own and the gyms that your partners own with you. If they were to post that they're selling their gym, their members would almost feel betrayed, right? So there's no outlet for them, like none whatsoever. Then another thing that drew my attention was, so this is my event calendar. We do about, like I said, about 8 events a year. This is actually was in 2016 and part of 2017. And every time we do it, we send out a bunch of mailers. It's normally in the greater Central Florida area, and every single time we get 10 or 15 of these mailers returned back. And we always check to see if they've changed addresses or if they've closed. And we've counted 30 gyms closed this year, and that's primarily just in Central Florida. I mean, we don't mail out of state, and almost all of our mail, we don't even mail to Miami.
All right, so hold a second, because I'm going to show this to somebody else. Just so I know what you're talking about. You put on like CrossFit events, and you invite gym owners to invite their members to it.
Correct? Yeah, correct. Yeah, so our biggest one, if you're looking at the screen, our biggest one is right down in the middle. It says June 23rd to 25th. That's the Bacon Beatdown. We have about 1,200 athletes that come out to that and 4,000 or 5,000 spectators. But every single one of these events, when we're doing it, we send out mailers to gym owners, to their gym location. And we always get some returned by mail, and we just always follow up and see if they've moved or if they've closed. So it was kind of alarming to me that so many gyms were closing. And so, obviously, I just wanted to do a little research. I know this presentation is silly, but it helps me make sure I lay it out correctly for you guys. So I wanted to find out how many gym owners would actually be interested in selling their gyms. Called up friends. That's not actually me, obviously, but called up my friends because I do the events. I know a lot of gym owners. So I've spoken to over 100 gym owners, and easily 25% of them are interested in selling for their gym, and half of those people have actually considered closing their gym if they're not able to find a buyer. They just kind of aren't sure what to do because they're not making enough money. A lot of them are starting to go back to other jobs. They're not business. They don't have a lot of business acumen. They're trainers that opened a gym. And so they need help. So then I wanted to find out if there was anybody that wanted to buy these gyms. So I made some more phone calls. I reached out to some other people. I met with quite a few people, including some people that own multiple locations. And it's about 1 in 10 have an interest in opening another location. And some of these gym owners, actually, a gentleman who I just literally yesterday added to the advisory board of the company, they're in the process of opening their 5th location, and and they want to open more. They want to have 100 gyms. So I think there's going to be a big market there as far as that goes. So that answers the questions. We have. You have the guys and the girls. The guys are the people that want to sell the gym, and how do you get the girls to the club? Those are the buyers. So they are out there. So then I wanted to know just how many gyms fit in our market. And again, did some more research. Statista.com has it at 36,180 clubs. Granted, this is, this also includes large box-style gyms. Ursa also has it at 36,000, and then Statistic Brain had an old, it was like a 3-year-old one that said at 30,000, but there's a significant amount, and this is just in the U.S., which we are not limited to working just in the U.S. There's 180,000 in the world. So based on looking around and seeing how many of those gyms don't fit our model, LA Fitnesses and large fitness and health clubs are not going to be interested in this service. So I'm able to estimate that there's about 8,000 of those that don't really fit, about 6,000 to 8,000 of those that don't really fit our model. So obviously we know we've got a problem. Obviously we know that there's a market for it. And what's the solution? And the gym exchange. So we basically help people that want to buy a gym connect with people that want to sell a gym, and we do it anonymously. We allow them to remain anonymous as long as they want to. So I put up this site, mygymexchange.com, as a tester because I wanted to see would there be people. Would people start listing, and would people start paying for the service? Would they be interested in it? So I literally have posted 3 comments on people's posts inside a gym owner's Facebook group. So one person commented, they left a post that said, hey, how do I figure out how much my gym is worth? And I posted a link to a valuation worksheet that we created. Another one actually posted in the Facebook group, does anybody want to buy a second gym or interested in selling ours? I posted a link to this site, mygymexchange.com, and the third one was the same thing. Hey, my wife and I are having issues. My wife is sick. I need to sell my gym, and I posted a link to this. So off of I literally posted 3 comments on people's posts, and we have 40 listings that include 16 buyers. So to us, a listing is either a buyer or seller, either one. So that was what impressed me most, is how many buyers we had. So we basically have shown 2 buyers for every 3 sellers, which is a pretty good, that's a pretty good comparison there. So obviously they like it. I reached out to, as you know, that's kind of how I ended up at your East Coast Fitness and Nutrition Conference. I reached out to the guys from Barbell Business. I've spoken with them multiple times. They are very interested in it, and they are very interested in having me on the show. And full disclosure, I have offered them an advisory position as well, because they obviously have a lot of experience and knowledge in this industry. And I think it would be a good strategic move to, have them on as advisors, because obviously they, when Mike and I were speaking about it, he said that it would be very easy for me to be on the show once a month on a subject related to this. How do you value a gym? That's an entire show. How do you find buyers? That's an entire show. How do you proceed with a sale of a gym? That's an entire show. Do you open a new gym, or do you buy one that already exists? That's an entire show. So there's a lot of opportunity there. And I also spoke with Chris Cooper, who's the owner of Two Brain Business. He's also very influential, specifically in the CrossFit fitness business market. And he has also expressed some interest in having me on his podcast, which also gets a few thousand listeners every week. So,
Yeah. Hey, just let me break up a minute. Just like I said, I'm going to show this to somebody else. I just want to make sure they understand what you're talking about. I do. So Mike
yeah.
Bledsoe and Barbell Shrugs they have a podcast for primarily the CrossFit industry that they're well plugged into. Plus, they offer some software service to CrossFit gyms. There's about 10,000 CrossFit gyms in the United States. I think you stated.
Yeah, in the U.S. there's 10,000.
And so they also run a mastermind program very well into the CrossFit world.
Mm-hmm.
And then combination with us and getting into some of the Fit Bodies and some other gyms that we're going to get into with our software program that we can use. We can definitely have create that bigger mailing list than just a God, I can't even talk. CrossFit world. Now, do you plan on we plan on setting up at events and conferences and being a sponsor? Have you thought about doing stuff like that to gain more interest?
Yeah, so there's a few ways, and again, everything that I'm doing, everyone that I'm interested in working with, is also very strategic. I mean, honestly, I think what Fit Body Bootcamp does in regards to attracting franchise owners, the way they target people on Facebook and even the types of ads they run are extremely similar to what we would start doing when we get to that point where we need to start advertising it on Facebook. They have a very effective model to gain new franchise owners, and that's essentially what we're trying to do too. We're not selling them a franchise; we're just introducing them to the opportunity to purchase a gym, an already existing gym. So, just full disclosure, it's definitely strategic that I'm speaking with you and not some random tech investor. Because I think it's a partnership that makes a lot of sense. So, yes, setting up at events, absolutely sponsoring events. Those people that are at those events let's say you're at an event with 2,000 people. Well, probably 50 to 70 of those people are own gyms. And then there's probably 300 to 500 of those people that have at least considered opening a gym. They all love CrossFit, so yes, it absolutely makes a lot of sense for us to participate in those.
Yeah, and from my end, as an owner, I would be definitely interested in your services because it's a much better place to be when you can go in and buy a facility with, already a member base, and the price that you buy these things for is less than what you can actually open a location for. So, definitely interested. I understand the value of this. I really do.
Now, granted, we have some listings. I mean, I have a listing for $500, I have a guy listed his gym for $540,000, and it's worth every bit of it. He literally he doesn't operate the business anymore at all, and he's taking home $15,000 a month. So now, granted, I haven't seen his financials. We don't get that deep into it, but if his financials show that he's bringing home $15,000 a month off that business, then it's essentially worth $500,000 if somebody's willing to pay that, obviously.
And all your job is basically connecting people. You're not getting
We are not. Yeah, we are not a brokerage at all. So actually, I think that's the next slide. So here's exactly how it works. Sellers will list their gym. They'll pay $99 down. That includes their first month, and as they enter in, as they answer our questions, basically, it spits out a general valuation based on their answers. So obviously, our algorithms do a little bit of math for them, and it says this is what we recommend you list your gym for. After they pay the $99 down, and after their first month, it just automatically renews at $49 a month. And we expect that sellers will be members on our site for somewhere between 90 and 180 days. Literally all of my projections are based off of 90 days. So I think that even if they were to get into a conversation with a buyer on day one, it's still going to take 3 months or so to go through all of the due diligence and discovery process. So that's what, when we get into the projections, that's what they're based off of. They're based off of a lister staying a member for 90 days. The buyer's list, so again, we still call it a listing, but the buyer's list for a flat $49 a month. They don't pay anything down. They pay $49 a month. And the main reason that we're charging buyers is because I don't want people just in there fishing around as a looky-loo, trying to figure out who's selling their gym and who's not, so they can start rumors. So we want to know that these buyers are serious. If they're not willing to spend $49 a month to find themselves a new gym, they're probably not a serious buyer anyways.
Right. Now, have you thought about right there? I'm gonna stop right there because I don't know if you've seen. You know what LoopNet is? LoopNet.
That's it's kind of a listing service for commercial real estate. Is that right?
That is correct. What they do, and you can still do it with this $49, is they offer free service, but it only shows you limited, like 4 or 5 spots. And it says, hey, to upgrade to see 11 more locations, and then you should upgrade for $249 a month. But that could be an option. You could throw in the $49 a month and get you the local listings if you want to expand more. You can
So actually, it's actually kind of the next bullet point. Both sellers and buyers can view listings, not the details though, without subscribing. So what that means is if I'm a buyer, and this is probably going to be primarily used by buyers. So if I'm a buyer and I know I'm looking for a gym in Orlando, I can go on and I can sign up essentially without paying anything, and I can see if there's any listings in Orlando. So if I look and I see, oh, there's 2 listings in Orlando, and I want to find out more details or start having a conversation with those sellers, I do have to pay for the premium service. So there's a free option essentially to get people interested in looking around. But once, if I actually want to have a conversation and if I want to see the details that are going to tell me whether or not I'm interested, really, I do need to sign up for that premium service. So there's a little bit of that. And I'm sure that we're going to do some testing and and find some information as we move along through this process. That's going to help us. I think that we're going to get enough listings and enough activity that we'll actually be able to raise our prices within a year. Because if people are selling their gym, if we're getting 60 to 70% of these gyms sold, we're going to raise the price. It just makes a lot of sense to do that. So. But at first, obviously, we want to just make it a low barrier to entry so people will test it out and try it out. We'll generate some revenue and we'll start helping people sell their gyms. And again, when I say help people sell their gyms, we're basically making that connection. We actually can't have we can't be in between that sale at all. So we are also going to offer a lot of free information based on how to value your gym, based on how to proceed with a sale, based on how to, if you're a buyer, here's what you want to look for when you're looking for a gym for sale, because we want to compete with, right now, the only outlet that people have to sell their gyms really is finding someone, a member inside their gym, or usually one of their coaches will buy the gym from the owner. So we still want to be valuable to them. So we still want them to use our service, even if that's what they end up doing, because we're providing so much information to help them go through with that sale process that they don't have to hire a broker and pay that broker 10%, So the members, once they're in there, they can search and communicate with each other within our app, so they're messaging back and forth. It keeps them anonymous, so there is no pictures. When they fill out their information, they're not putting their gym address, or they are putting their gym address, but it's not viewable to the buyer. They're not putting the name of their gym. They're basically selecting their market, and then they answer some financial information, and that's what's available to the buyer. So then the buyers and sellers can start messaging back and forth. And once the seller feels comfortable, or the buyer, whoever, whatever, they can disclose who they are. That's up to them. They decide when that happens. And then I would assume is when the sale proceeds. Yeah.
question, and you're gonna get into how do you find buyers? 'Cause it sounds like you got the
Yeah.
sellers. Okay.
So actually, right now, like I said, when we put up our testing site, and I left comments, one comment on each of 3 different posts, and we got 40 listings. 16 of those listings are buyers, so they are out there and they are interested in buying gyms. But if we are going to have to go search them out and seek them out, it's probably going to be through the use of those fitness business podcasts. Mike and Marcus said about 40% of their listeners are actually gym owner wannabes. They don't own a gym yet. So that's a big deal right there. And then also, like I said, kind of following the Fit Body Bootcamp marketing model, because they've been very effective. So essentially, this next slide was just to show that basically this site is like Match.com, but for people that want to buy and sell gyms rather than, date. So the milestones that we're looking for, obviously we got to develop the technology. It's being done right now. It's being worked on. We put the down payment on it. They're building out the billing. So the billing is going to, the way they're building the billing system, it's going to automate chargeback responses. So if somebody, disputes a charge or something, and the bank sends us a notification, you have X amount of time to respond to it. Well, our billing system will actually respond to it with that user's agreement, signed agreement. So we're partnering with DocuSign for the signatures. So it is a legally binding signed agreement. Our billing system will actually respond with that automatically. We won't even have to manually touch it. So we won't miss the time frame and all that jazz. Our billing system is also going to allow me to set up a couple of things. One, it'll allow me to set up affiliate marketing. So like with Mike and Marcus, if we go on the Barbell Business podcast and we do a podcast on it, and then we set up a link from their site, anybody that comes from that link, we can set up a kickback for them. So when somebody registers, maybe we set the kickback up to, they get $25 every time somebody registers from their site, or they just get 7% of that person's, lifetime billing, whatever it is, whatever we work out. We can actually set it up so that money will send to their account before it ever even comes to us. So,
that's a question there.
Yeah.
Put a code in or something, some kind of a discount code or some kind of code that tells you they're from that show.
Yeah. So it can do it a couple ways. They can log in under certain links. So like we could set up a link that's mygymexchange.com/barbell business, or we can literally track where they came from. So if barbellbusiness.com sets up a link to My Gym Exchange and somebody goes to My Gym Exchange from Barbell Business, it'll automatically track that. Or thirdly, we can set up a code that lets us know that they came from there. Hey, if you guys sign up from Barbell Business, use code barbellbusiness.com and you get half off your initiation fee or your registration fee, whatever.
Right. So what billing service are you using?
Let me see if I have that in my agreement here. The development guys are the ones doing that part of it.
I mean, you get that to me.
Yeah, they didn't list that here.
Yeah, because I'm interested in that. That's what I'm looking for now. Is a billing system to add in my.
Okay. I do know, and it's actually not in here either, but I do know that it. Braintree. Yeah, it's Braintree Payments.
Braintree.
Yeah.
BRAIN.
BRAINTREE payments.com.
I got you. All right.
Yeah. So also the billing system will have all of the accounting and numerics done in there, and all of it will be, I mean, we will literally be able to track where every penny has come from. So if it's coming from Facebook ads, if it's coming from, you know, as long as they, obviously, if we're able to link it to something, like if it's coming from a Facebook ad, we'll know. If it's coming from, you know, if they just go to our website, they go directly to our website and sign up, we obviously won't be able to know unless maybe, you know, we can certainly ask them a question, hey, how did you hear about us? But it will track all of that for us, so we'll be able to collect the right data to know where to focus our energy. So I'm actually pretty excited about the billing system, but that also is the most expensive part of the developing. I mean, it's, you know, near half the cost of the development, so it's going to be an extensive and effective billing system. Next up, they've got to build the profiles, so sellers and buyers need to be able to build their own profiles, which is that's not actually too complicated. Matchmaking algorithms, same thing. So when they're, you know, when a seller is selecting their market, they can say, you know, they'll just select Orlando market or Atlanta market or, you know, whatever it is. And then the buyers can select Orlando plus 50 miles. So because we will have the seller's address, even though the buyers won't, we will have the seller's address. We can actually attach that. So when the buyer selects Orlando, so if I'm a seller and I'm actually 70 miles from Orlando, but that's my closest major market, when I put my address in, it'll market me as Orlando. If the buyer selects Orlando plus 30 miles, then my listing won't come up because I'm 70 miles out, not 30 miles out. You know what I mean? So the matchmaking stuff will be built in, messaging will be built in, and then data collection. So this one, you know, down the road, a year into it or so, we're going to start being able to use this information, and part of our questioning services right now is already starting to gather that information, but we're going to get more and more detailed on what gym owners actually need. So people like yourself who do coaching, people like Chris Cooper, people like Mike and Marcus, you know, we'll be able to refer people out to the guys that are helping people grow their businesses. Because again, what we don't want to see happen is gym owners selling their gyms because they're not having success, and then 18 months later, somebody else is in the same boat because an inexperienced business person bought a gym because they thought it would be cool to train people all day, and then they realize they don't get to train people all day when they own the gym. They have to run their business, and so they're in the same boat. They're burnt out, they're frustrated, they're not making any money, and then 2 to 3 years later, they're trying to sell it or close their gym again. We don't want to, you know, we want to improve the marketplace rather than, you know, just send people through the same cycle. Because that's what happened. There was this huge explosion. A lot of people, you know, the people that are working under you, Jerry, are going to stick around for a long time. They're going to build great businesses, and if they sell their business, it's because they have other ideas, not because they are tired of it or not making money, you know, because they're working with somebody that knows what they're doing. So that's what the data collection is for. We'll also be able to start doing referral services for people that offer funding. We'll be able to do referrals for people that sell equipment. We'll be able to do referrals for all types of different stuff. And so then obviously the next step, I have to raise the money. I need to raise $25,000 by the 15th of this month, so I'm pushing it to pay for that web development.
How long is that away? That's only like 10 days away.
What was that?
That's 10 days away. Okay.
10 days away. Yeah, I got to be quick. And then by the end of February, which is when the development is expected to be finished, I need to raise another $25,000, and this is essentially for marketing money to give us enough runway to hit 1,000 users. 1,000 users is kind of the magic number where the business is making really good money. So,
what are your projections of 1,000 members?
I'll get into that. Do you have the? I'll pull it up here. But the projections of 1,000 members, we're doing 50,000 a month just in our recurring revenue. There's also other like services that I did not include in our projection. Like we can charge for a detailed valuation. I mean, there are businesses online that are charging thousands of dollars for a detailed valuation, but for a gym, for a small gym that, you know, does a couple $100,000 a year in revenues, it's pretty easy for us to do a valuation over the course of a couple hours and charge them $349 for a service like that. So all of my projections have been based off of, well, we're about to hit that as well. So the big milestone for us is to hit 100 paid users within our first 30 days. We do that through, first off, through free email. It's free. I have a list of every single CrossFit gym owner in the U.S. already. So we're going to blast them with, hey, do you want to sell your gym? And then a few days later, we're going to send out another one that says, would you like to buy a gym? Just a simple headline that will catch some people's attention and get us some users. And then immediately being featured on podcasts. Like I said, Mike and Marcus have said, let us know when you're ready. We'll have you on whenever you're ready. To get to that first 100 users and start generating some revenue. The projections, we based it off of the fact that there's 30,000 available that fit our model. We need to reach less than 2% of that, and the majority of those starting out are going to come from the CrossFit community. We're going to have to get a little more creative to reach the others, but the majority of those are going to come from the CrossFit community, especially starting out. We use an average membership of 90 days, so basically every 90 days we churn through all of our members essentially. And then within the first year we want to add brokers to the mix. So once we add brokers to the mix, you know, those guys will pay double what the others pay, and there will only be a couple of them in each state. You know, there will be 4 to 5 of them in each state max, but they're paying $100 a month. If those, I think we have a $299 registration fee on them. Those guys, if they get one deal off of our site in a year, they've paid for their year's worth of service. So it would make sense to have them in there, but we got to get users in there first. We project $238,000 in revenue in the first year at a 50% net margin.
How many members is that?
That is, let me see here. Ooh. Trying to find it. There's literally like 12 pages of financial projections on this.
That's fine. I'm assuming you just do 3 months.
So the way this is built up is obtaining 100 new members each month with a 30% churn. So essentially it's growing by 70 net members each month. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then, what was that?
I said you don't have to keep digging for it. That's fine.
Okay. And then in the third year, because, you know, again, I mean, we can say we're going to grow more and more and more members, but there's still only, you know, 30,000 available gyms in our market. So we are going to, at some point, we are going to hit, we're never going to have 30,000 listings, right? So, the third year, we're projecting about 800,000, and that's over a 50% net margin. So I do project that it will slow down. However, what I haven't included in here is the referral services. There's a lot of opportunities in the business, again, through if gyms close and don't sell, what happens to their equipment? You know, how can we be involved with assisting them in selling their equipment? And is there a commission that can be paid for that? Is there referral fees for referring new gym owners out to business coaches? There's a lot of opportunity in that. And then also in the third year, I think if we're able to turn this into a business that's doing almost $1 million in revenue, then we can really look into figuring out how this model can work in other industries and not just be stuck in the gym business. So
it is a struggle to find gyms for sale, that is for sure. And it's a struggle to sell a gym too. options are local brokers, which get 10%.
Yes. Yeah, and in fact, some of them will, if it's a small gym, I mean, if it's a gym that's asking $30,000 or $40,000, they won't even bother with it, and definitely not for 10%. I've heard some of them say 12 to 15% if it's a small, if it's a small amount of money they're asking for.
Right. Yeah, I think it's happening in every kind of business. It's how to advertise about your employees, your customers freaking out. So yeah, there's a big market out there for this. There's so much room for adjuncts here. Whether we partner up on this or how that works, but after this software, MyFitMembers, what I'd really like to start working on is some type of a retention education program. So what I mean by that is we could, if they're buying a gym, maybe we can keep another 3 to 4 months on the subscription or something that they're learning how to basically run a gym and keep retention. So there's so much on the back end I think that can come out of this too. And also I want to point out too, because I'm going to show this to Tom. He's a funding guy, and that's what we've been kicking around is what happens if one of the gyms fail that we're funding and he's helping fund. And this is an option to either try to sell it or at least get the equipment sold. So now, will you have a place on your site to sell equipment, or is that going to have to be affiliate?
Well, I think that there is. We definitely need to look into how to do that. So there are a ton of these fitness equipment resale companies, and it would make a lot more sense. It's like stick to what you're good at and let the pros do what they're good at.
Right.
So
hook them together.
Yeah, just bring them in, and and we get a cut, basically, type of thing. So, but yeah, it definitely needs to be there. And if you go to the site and you fill out our questionnaire, and our questionnaire is pretty basic right now. And as we get more and more detail, or more and more experienced here, we want to get more and more detailed on what we're asking for and how we're asking it, to make sure that the information that we're asking people for is valuable not only to either the buyer that's looking at them or the seller that's considering selling, but then how can we make this information useful to help them in the future. And just, again, we just want to make sure that this service is valuable for people. All of my projections also include a running development cost of $4,000 a month, which is high, but I really did go very conservative on my projections because I would much rather underpromise and overdeliver than the other way around. So we are going to have some running development costs based off of what modifications we decide we need to make once we start acquiring users and they're telling us what they like and don't like. So I included some costs for that as well. It also includes salaries for both a CEO and a CFO once we're cash flow positive. So, and when I say cash flow positive, I don't mean, I'm going to start paying myself as a CEO $5,000 a month once we're making $5,000 a month. I mean, once we're cash flow positive, even over salaries, then is when we're going to start paying salaries. So I would expect to have to hire a CFO within a year. So I'm asking for $25,000. Obviously, I know we've discussed that. As an equity owner, if somebody wants to come in as an equity owner, I'll give them 10% equity. The return on that, based on my projections, is 85% per year over 3 years. And then basically the way I like to structure it is you're a 10% equity owner for 3 years or until you reach $75,000, whichever comes second. So what that means is, let's say we knock this thing out of the park, and as a 10% equity owner, you hit $75,000 in your second year. Well, you still own 10% through the third year. So you could potentially earn a lot more on that if it comes around to 3 years and you haven't earned $75,000, you're still a 10% equity owner until you reach that $75,000 mark. So it's whichever one comes second. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then the share drops to 5% once we reach that, whatever that second milestone is. As debt, again, the way we structured the payment systems, we would essentially pay that debt back as 10% of redirected revenues. So as the revenues are coming in, they're redirected to the debtor. And, we expect, again, these are based on my projections, a 2-time return within 2 years. So,
what's the difference between an equity would be somebody giving you $25,000. The debt, what is that? How is that?
Either way, it's still $25,000. But what debt is obviously the company owes that debt. This is how we expect to pay it back. So, now granted, I can structure this a couple of ways. Obviously, I want to make it work. I want to make it worth it for somebody. So on the equity side of things, I undervalued the company intentionally. And part of that also is because I'm speaking to you, and I think that you also offer more than just money. Again, the partnership would be very strategic. You have some influence with Fit Body Boot Camp. They would obviously make a sensible partner as far as that goes. Even just learning from the methods that you've used, from them and acquiring, affiliate owners. So that's why I undervalued the business and gave more equity there. And I want it to be an investment that makes a lot of sense. As debt, it basically means that no matter what, we're going to pay back 2 times what we borrowed. So if we borrowed $25,000, we're going to pay back $50,000, and we're going to pay it back through 10% of our revenue. So as revenue is coming in, it's essentially works like a yeah, exactly. Yeah. So as an equity owner, you're taking your cut off of the profit. As debt, it's coming off the revenues. So. And I think, and I laid this out. So as an equity owner, based on my projections, you get $12,000 in year 1, $35,000 in year 2, and $40,000 in year 3. And I'm going to be frank with you. I'm not familiar enough with if you were to decide to reinvest that, with how that works. We can structure that. In a way that makes sense, obviously, but
So you're needing a total of $50,000, right?
Well, so here's how it's laid out. I definitely need the $25,000 because I've got to pay for the site, or we won't be able to use it and start generating revenue. If I'm not able to come up with the second $25,000 to get me to $50,000. Then it just means I'm going to have to be a lot more creative and a lot more. It'll probably grow a little bit slower if I don't have a marketing budget. So I can still do it because I still think that sending out the emails, which is free, and going on the podcast, which other than me flying to San Diego, which I'm perfectly capable of doing myself, those are relatively free ways to start generating revenue, and then we just start. Basically acquiring users from what marketing budget we have out of our revenue, as opposed to earmarking this extra $25,000 specifically for marketing.
And as we grow my fit members, which looks like it's going to be launched. Actually, all the emails, all the members that using the system will have access to their email. So these are members that are getting into fitness that there's a percentage of them that actually wants to open up their own gym. And
nice.
So, yeah. And then any we're looking at doing trade shows, and so we can share a booth.
Mm-hmm.
That would help.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead. I know we got a few more minutes.
Well.
3 more minutes.
So this is the actual business plan. That was just kind of the overview of it all. But I'm going to skip ahead to the financial projections.
Yeah, I got about 5 more minutes.
Okay, all right. Well, This is also something. This is what I sent you. So this is also something that you can take a look at when you have a little bit of time. And maybe that's a better way to do it is to give you some time to take a look at this, and then if you have questions, write them down, and we can chat again about that. It is all laid out pretty well in the plan. All the explanations of how I, got my numbers, how I, what assumptions, obviously right here, what assumptions did we make and what were based off of, real information. It's all laid out in there. So if you guys want to take a look at that when you have some time.
Can you, do you have it together? What, is that the software cost is $25,000, or is the software cost X amount or some other?
The software is actually just over 20,000. It's like 20,800. And then I'm asking for 25,000, obviously, because I'm going to assume that there's going to be some adjustments that need to be made. But what we want to do is get it paid for so that I can get it to market, so that we can start generating revenue. Yeah.
Have they started on it yet?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're working on it.
So you've already given money?
Yeah, I already paid a down payment, so I've got about 7,000 into this so far. I owe them 17,000, so I had to pay a few grand for the testing site that I put up, and then just some other little expenses, and then the site, the website that they're building is 20 grand. I gave them 3,500 bucks, so I think I'm at 16,800 left over with them.
So the 25 would be paid in, and you capture some money too?
No. Okay. No, that's going into the business. I'm not taking any money back. Yeah, but all the 25 would be accounted for, would be in the business. If there is any left over after all the development's done, it's going to marketing. I mean, I just think that if we market fast and hard, because I also think that if we do this well and we do this right, and people see how many people are listing, I suspect that somebody's going to try and copy it. So I would rather be the guy out there that's got the right relationships, that's speaking with the right people, and that's got the right reputation. So if anybody else tries to come in, it's just kind of too late. I mean, it'll take them 3 to 6 months to get the stuff developed. They'll probably, if they do come out, try and do it a different way, and they'll just try and be a broker, and they just won't be nearly as effective.
Well, sounds good. Give me a couple of days. I'm going to send it to Tom. I'm going to look over some more.
Okay.
And we'll go from there. Well, let's touch base. Let's definitely touch base first of the week.
Okay.
All right.
Jerry, I appreciate your time. I'm really sorry that I couldn't be there in person, man. I like doing this stuff in person much better.
Yeah, that's all right. I kind of like this better.
All right. All right. Makes sense.
You take care.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye.